Hello, welcome to Intro to Elemental Yoga. My name is Robin Haston. I am with Sweet Lotus Holistic Health, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about Ayurveda and how it works together with yoga in a very introductory level. So basically, Ayurveda is called the science of life. That's the translation. And it really is a sister science to yoga. A lot of us come to yoga, especially in the West, through asana, through movement. Sometimes it's at the gym, sometimes it's at the studio, and that's how we find it. Ayurveda truly is a complete science, and really our yoga asanas are sort of part of that. So it's a little different than maybe how we normally experience it. What are we made of? Why is it important? Ayurveda says that there are five main elements that make up all of everything in the world. And those are earth and water and fire and air and space in no particular order. You'll also see this mirrored in the Chinese system. Their elements are slightly different. They don't have air, they have metal, and instead of space, they have wood. So it's a little bit different, but similarly, it's all about this elemental makeup. That translates into three doshas. Dosha is a word that basically means sort of your continents, like your kind of overall qualities. The three major doshas, or the three doshas, are vata, pitta, and kapha. So if you are going to be doing the yoga practice that is coming up in this video, I want you to pause right now and take the little quiz that is in the comments section of this. And that way you will know your dosha so that you're able to practice properly for what we're doing. Now, as we do this, pausing here again to take the quiz if you don't already know your dosha. So once you know your dosha, we're going to talk a little bit about what they all mean and how they show up in our lives. But just know that they translate to humans and kind of our own makeup. They translate to times of the day, times of the year. So there is a lot to these elements in Ayurveda, and this is just a tiny little taste for today. So if you've done the quiz that I've provided, that first column is the vata column. And if you have a lot of answers in that column, then your main dosha, your primary dosha, is vata. So for vata, it is made up of air and space. And it is cool and dry. Those are the qualities that are connected to vata. It is also connected to movement and expression. It really appears in our nervous system with movement like an electrical current. It keeps everything circulating and working. And it also is active and on the go. It's about us moving in the right direction. So vata is all about moving. Like air is constantly moving. The only way that we can sense air around us is by its movement. If it's still, we can't really sense it. So vata types do not do well in the cold and wind. They get irritated by that very easily. They tend to be taller or shorter than average with long, thin bones. They tend to be very thin, just overall, lose weight easily, have a hard time holding on to weight. Those are your people that you might know that when they get stressed out, they stop eating and they lose weight. So it can be hard for them to build muscle tone. It can be hard for them to hold on to even bone mass. They have poor circulation. They'll tend to have cold hands and feet. Nervous digestion. So again, that digestion goes up and down with the winds. And constipation is really their problem with their digestion, tending to the dry. So we know that when we're dehydrated, it's hard to move things through. They can be restless, active, creative. When vata is out of balance, they can become nervous or agitated. They can be emotionally sensitive and prone to quick moving moods, and fear and anxiety when out of balance. So again, a little bit on the dry skin side due to the dehydration. So when we come into our yoga practice, the vata types, or the primarily vata types, want to, the asana is going to help them be less stiff. It's going to help warm them in their body. So it's going to feel good to them. It's going to keep we want to keep that energy consistent and stay very present. So when we get anxious and our vata starts to get overblown, we start to look into the future. When we are practicing in our yoga, we want to stay present and stay with the breath. We want to stay calm and centered and go slowly and start to activate through the muscles because we want to build a little bit of muscle tone for those vatas. We want to breathe deep, calm, and strong, and want to focus on the inhalation. So if starting to get a little anxious, starting to look into the future, getting a little, sort of restless, then we're going to breathe in fully and we'll hold maybe a couple beats before we exhale for the vata types. Now, most of us have a combination of two, so we're going to talk about what your primary type is today. And if you're really balanced between two, then find the similarities there, and then or just practice doing one pose more like a vata, one pose more like pitta, or whatever your secondary dosha would be. So that brings us to pitta, the second column if you've used the sheet that I've provided. So that's the middle column. If you have most of the answers there, then your primary dosha is pitta. Pitta is fire and water. Primary fire. So it tends to be warm and a little bit damp. So I'm a very, very primarily pitta. My pitta is very much higher than my other two doshas. So I'm a good example of that. The warm and the damp, the humid and hot. I love tropical vacations, but it takes me time to adjust to that because I find it very irritating at first. But our pitta is the transformative energy. It pushes and provokes. It is our digestion, our warmth in our body, and our perception. All of our sensory organs are connected to this pitta fire. It's our digestive system and our blood. Again, those are two really warm things that we have. Changing our level of manifestation. So remember when I said vata got us getting going, right? Are we going in the right direction? And then pitta goes, well, we need to go a little more here, a little more there. Like I'm going to help adjust. So it's that up and down. It brings in the new, it adjusts the things. And then how are we digesting our life experiences? This is a great question for our pitta dosha. Now our pitta types, again, we don't tend to like the hot and humid weather. Too much sun can also aggravate the pittas. Sometimes pittas have red hair or freckles. That's a really obvious sign of fire, right? And we have average build for pittas, kind of right in the middle, not too tall, not too short, kind of medium-sized bones. Good circulation with a bright complexion, warmer extremities, sometimes an oily skin. Pittas tend to have good appetite. Appetite and thirst are high for pittas. Like we tend to be the ones that are constantly drinking water and sort of like when we get hungry, we get hangry. So that's a good sign that you have pitta is that sort of hangry feeling when it's sort of like you've let it go too long. Our elimination is good, but it can be a little on the fast side. So with that fire, everything's sort of heated and kind of moving. Pittas also tend to kind of gain and lose weight a bit. Like we kind of go up and down. Vatas tend to stay on the low side. We'll find that kaphas stay on the higher side, but pittas kind of go in between up and down and kind of vary between 5 to 10 pounds depending on what's going on. So we tend to be, and I say we because I'm very pitta, dynamic, willful, focused, determined. Like pitta is that determination, like that heat of the fire. Like I'm going to put it on. When the pitta gets out of balance, we get aggressive. Sometimes we can get angry, can get impatient. Sometimes we can get snappish. Can be like sharp-tongued. So being mindful of that. When we move into our asana practice for pitta, we notice that pittas can be really attracted to meditation and some of the more mental versions of yoga, like jnana yoga, studying the scriptures, like so much to read in the yoga world, in the Vedic tradition. You could read all the time. If you're a pitta and you love to read, there's tons there for you. We also tend to carry tension because we're sort of excited about life and focused and motivated. And so asana, our yoga practice, helps us to relieve tension, helps us to cool off. So as we practice, we want to keep cool, stay open and receptive, go a little softer than you normally would. We want to exhale through the mouth if we have excess heat. So When I practice in warm places and I'm already warm because I'm pitta, I already have a lot of heat because I'm menopausal. Like I exhale through the mouth. Okay, so remember with our vatas, we inhale and hold, exhale for pittas, getting rid of that extra heat through the mouth. Okay. Um, I'm not sure if I mentioned the key words for vata, so I'm going to back up there. Our key words for vata during our practice are going to be centered, focused, and present. And for pitta, our key words are going to be surrender, ease, and receive. So surrender, ease, and receive. So for our pitta people, you're used to going like 180 miles an hour. Want to just calm it down, go a little softer. How easy can it be? Give yourself a break. Now moving on to the third dosha, it's kapha. It's called kapha, and it is earth and water. It is cool and damp. So notice that we've already had cool and dry, we've had warm and damp, now we've got cool and damp. So that they're all interchanging in there. Our kapha energy is sustaining and conserving. It is all about tissue formation, substance, cohesiveness, and support. So thinking about like kapha is earth, right? It's that element that is supporting us from the very beginning to the very end. It's connected to our lymphatic system, which is the bulk of where our nourishment happens in the body. It's also a lot of the weight in our body is our lymph system. Kapha tends to strengthen or resist. So it provides fuel to our vata and pitta. Remember, vata got us going, pitta adjusted, sort of like, where do we need to go with this? And then kapha goes like, either slow down, like slow your roll, vata, pitta, like we need to go slower so we can do what we need to do, or like, yes, we're right on course, let's keep going. So it strengthens or resists. It's about guarding our base. So it's about staying steady and holding true. Now, our kapha type people do not like cool, damp weather. So that can really irritate them if it's too cold, if it's too damp. Kapha type of people can be tall or short, but they tend to have very strong bones. So those will be the people that you see that have very like wide shoulders, like strong, big hands, big feet, just really sturdy. And that is that earth element expressing itself in those bones. They hold the weight, and kaphas tend to carry more weight and they carry more water. It's that damp and cool. Like the pittas kind of burn off some of that water because of the fire. It's a little bit more steamy. But when you think about the earth and water, it's just a little bit more sort of thick. And so that is how it appears in kapha, and it tends to be sort of congestive as well. Sometimes they can be a little more congested in the lungs. Can have poor circulation. Skin can be damp to the touch sometimes. Their appetite tends to be constant, but metabolism is low. So everything's sort of going along with kapha, right? We want to kind of maintain. Our elimination can be sluggish. So being mindful of that. Yoga asana can help with that for sure. There are emotional types. They're strong and steady with their feelings. If you are a kapha and you fall in love, you tend to stay in love. So that's just how they go. They have a hard time letting go. They can be really loyal and consistent, calm and content. The out of balance kapha can be lethargic or apathetic. So I'm keeping that in mind. As we move into our asana practice, for those of us that are kaphas, it's good to help you get moving. We want to help motivate you. We don't want you to sit in constancy, especially if you're in a place where you're not exactly thrilled about what's going on. If you are feeling like you're carrying extra weight and you don't know how to motivate, your asana practice can help with that, and we'll add some of that into our practice today. Because kaphas tend to be more on the overweight side. So we have our vatas that are very naturally thin. Our kaphas are a little bit more naturally heavy. Pittas kind of go in the middle and up and down. Kaphas tend to see their practice and what they do in life as service. So bringing that in to your practice is a really sweet way to really emphasize this for you. We want to use effort, speed, and determination. So whereas with our pittas, we want to slow down, Our vatas, we want to stay still and steady. Our kaphas, we want to speed it up a little bit. So sun salutes, our Surya Namaskar, is wonderful for reducing kapha. Good to get it moving. The key words for our kapha practice today are light, bright, and flowing. So I want to go back over those keywords one more time. For our vata folks, they are centered, focused, and present. For our pitta friends, surrender, ease, and receive. For our kaphas, light, bright, and flowing. So with our kaphas, we want you to move a little bit faster, and I want you to breathe a little bit more quickly. So keep that in mind as we are breathing through some of our movements today, that you want to go a little more quickly and a little more intense with your breathing. Now, I just want to go over Ujjayi breath really briefly. This is the breath pattern that we're going to use for all of our doshas. It's balancing for all three doshas, so nice and easy. This is why we use it a lot in yoga practice. Ujjayi breathing is breathing in and out through the nose. And as we do that, we slightly hug the throat in to constrict the breath. And really, it's to bring the awareness of the breath deeper into ourselves. And so as we do this, it sounds a little bit like this. So it's a lot like when you make the sound. Remember when I went, it's like that idea in the back of the throat, just a slight hugging in, but breathing through the nose. So if you just want to say ha ha, or like you're fogging up a mirror, and then close the mouth and do it through the nose. Like fog the mirror with your nose. And you do that as you breathe in too. This is our basic breath pattern. Again, if you're vata and you're starting to get restless, we're going to hold 2 counts, 3 counts, just not enough to make you anxious, just a little bit, and then exhale out the nose again. Good. Our pittas, out the mouth if we get too warm. This practice today isn't going to be overly warming, but keep it in mind if you're in a warm climate, maybe you'll need that. And then our kaphas are going to breathe in a little more quickly, right? So you might feel my breath being really long and slow. It's good for my pitta to do that. But if for when my kapha gets aggravated, that's my secondary. If it's very far down below, I would go. A little shorter pattern. Great. Well, let's do a little yoga practice together just to embody all of these ideas. So make sure that you have space around you. We shouldn't need any props today, but maybe a block, maybe a blanket. I'm going to use the wall and my couch here really briefly. I just want to show a little bit of a supported pose. We're going to start in Tadasana. So our feet are going to be about hip distance apart, outer edges of them roughly parallel to one another. And just pause for a moment. Close the eyes if you can, or soften the gaze. Come to your breath. If pittas, just leave those arms hanging alongside you, really relaxed. Start to bring in the Ujjayi breathing. Turn the palms forward for the vatas. So the vatas are going to activate a little bit down into the legs, press down into the feet, and start to hug the muscles of the legs and arms and core towards the center. Again, pittas are softening, the soles of the feet relaxing here. Good, and for our kaphas, we're going to lift those arms up over the head, pressing down to earth and lifting those fingertips up to sky. Starting to feel some connection here at center. Just pausing here for a few breaths and taking time and space to honor who you and what you are. This is not the kind of system where we're trying to balance you out so you have all three evenly. We all have our own unique combination of doshas. And what we want to do is try to honor that unique combination. And some people are tridoshic, but most people have one primary, maybe two, primary, secondary. Good. Wherever we're at, we're going to pause here, release, open the eyes if they're closed. Good. Let's find our wall. And so here, we're going to put the hands on the wall about shoulder distance apart. And then what we're going to do is start to walk those feet out, walk the hands down. And we're going to create a right angle here. So I'm bringing my hands to just above where my hips are. My feet are a little wider than my hip distance. And I'm pressing lightly into the wall, pressing into my feet. Now maybe you don't have a wall, but you have the back of your couch. You could use that. For me, that's a great height, actually. It feels really good to do this. Or maybe you just have a chair or something handy and you want to use that. So just keep that in mind and just adjust yourself as needed so you can stretch out fully. I'm going to stay here. And our vatas, again, are going to start to energize towards the bones, utilizing some muscular effort without stressing yourself out. Staying focused or staying steady, present. I actually had 4 words written down: centered, focused, steady, and present for vatas. You get an extra one because vata goes out of balance very easily. Pittas, soften the soles of the feet, soften all of the joints, soften your mind about what you should be doing. And our kaphas are really starting to feel some heat. So we're starting to lift through the core for the kaphas, lifting lightly through the arches of the feet. Light, bright, and flowing. And then we're slowly going to sneak out of this. And I'm going to lose a layer. We're going to come into some half sun salutes. So I'm going to face sideways so that you can see what this looks like starting in our Tadasana. So whichever your version of Tadasana was, I'm going to use the Pitta version. Good. And so again, for vatas, we were palms forward, kind of activating a little bit. And for kaphas, we were starting here. So when we inhale kapha, you'll just stay here and bring palms together. Good, and everybody soften those knees lightly. And as we inhale, press down to earth, lift the arms if they're not already lifted, palms meet. As we exhale, we're going to fold forward all the way down. Good, landing on blocks, landing with the hands on the couch if you need to. Good, here, just stay. As we inhale, we'll come halfway up. So sometimes we're going to slide those hands up the shins. Kind of lengthening the back. Exhale, folding fully, wherever your full fold is. Good, and inhale all the way up. Good, and everybody, including our kaphas, will draw those hands down. Touch at the heart center, finding gratitude for who we are, what we're made of, and release. Good, again, find your Tadasana. Inhale, arms up. Good, everybody exhale, fold. Good, so pittas really soften the knees here. Kaphas, keep those legs a little straighter. Vatas, soften the knees. As we inhale halfway up, vatas, I want you to bring palms together and activate through the core. Use those muscles. Pittas, I want you to stay here or here, supported and easy. And kaphas, I want you to also bring palms together at the heart. As we exhale, fold. Everybody soften, release. And inhale all the way up to standing, arms float up. And exhale, lower. Pausing at the heart center, release. Again, inhale. Good, kaphas a little shorter. Exhale, fold. And releasing a little heat from my pitta. Good, inhale, halfway up. Good, so those pittas, we're going to stay really low. Kaphas here. Vatas using that core strength. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Good, and exhale, release. One more. And remember, vatas, we are activating, we're hugging those muscles in toward bone. Pitta is softening, releasing, and kapha is activating, light, bright. And starting to get a little heat, a little movement. Good. Inhale, arms float all the way up, palms meet. Exhale, fold fully. Inhale, halfway up. Good. Find your halfway up. And exhale, fold. And inhale all the way up to standing. Arms float up. And exhale, lower down. Good. We're going to take the feet wide apart. And then give a little bend to the knees. And as we do this, we want the shins to remain vertical. So if when we do this, the shins go out at an angle, we know the feet are a little too close to each other. So take them all out a little further than you think. Give a bend, check on it, and then let it straighten. And again, pittas are going to just hang here. So notice, like, if you have a tendency to lock the knees out, that's going to block all of our energy flow. So we want to soften the knees. Pittas hang out through the arms. Vatas activating, right? Using that muscular strength and starting to kind of hug the muscle into the bone, finding that. Kaphas are also going to start to work with this core. So we want to get moving a little bit for those kaphas. Good, and we're going to inhale now. Arms float all the way up. And as we exhale, coming into temple pose. Pausing here. Good. Our vata friends are going to pause here. For pittas and kaphas, we're going to inhale, let the our legs straighten out, arms float out. And exhale, come back. Good. So pittas, as we inhale, just let the breath in, stretch you out. Everything's really soft. And as we exhale, don't sink down quite as low. Just easy, just until you start to feel a little bit here. Good. As we inhale now, kaphas, we're going to really stretch it out, out, out. Shine your light. Exhale, sink a little deeper. We want to work a little bit more into that kapha. Okay, inhale. Good. Vatas, stay as long as you can. Come out if you need a break. Exhale, sink in. We're building a little warmth for the vatas. Remember our ujjayi breath. Good. So our kapha friends might be moving a little faster. So it might look like, right? Our pittas, nice and easy. Back off a little bit. And our vatas are holding. Good. Now everybody inhale, including our vatas. And exhale, just float those arms down. Let's bring those feet in. Just wiggle those legs out for a little bit. And adjust things. I find that my pants are sliding down a bit. All right. Let's come back out. We're going to add a little easy side bend to this. Good. So again, find your Tadasana, or vata, pitta, or kapha. Let's lift up for kapha again here. Good. Inhale, everybody arms up. And exhale again to our temple, bend those knees. Good. And then again, pitta is a little less. Vata and kapha a little deeper. Okay. Maybe vata can back off if you need to stay. So inhaling here. And we're going to exhale, lean to your right and stretch through your left side body. Good. Vatas, stay here. Everybody else, pitta and kapha, inhale and go the other way. Good. And again, pitta and kapha, flowing with this. So pitta, how easy can it be for you? How much can you receive the in-breath? And kapha, sink a little lower, maybe move a little more quickly. Good. Vatas, get ready to change sides if you haven't already. Good. Inhale here. Vatas this side now. Good. And pause for a few breaths. So here again, our kaphas are moving a little quicker, like something like this. And our pittas are backing out of that temple a little bit and just feels nice to go a little easy, right? Notice sometimes those pittas are like, but I should be working harder, right? And vatas, they're like, well, I should be moving. And kapha's like, I should be in shavasana. Right? We all have our tendencies. Good, everybody. After this one, coming up. Good. We're going to turn our toes forward, heels lightly out, and fold forward all the way down. Woo. Let's take a pause here. If you like, you can interlock fingers behind you. Let the arms come up and over. Using any props that you need to make this easy for you. Good. Release those hands down. We're going to put the left hand right underneath the face, and we inhale, we're going to sweep the right arm up, and you guessed it, vatas, you get to stay here. Good. As we exhale, we're going to sweep down. If we're pittas and kaphas, we're going to move. Inhale, other way, and exhale. And we're going to do about 3 breaths here. So pittas again. How slow can you make it? Can you soften the backs of the knees? Can you soften the soles of the feet? Even this arm that's floating up is light. With our kaphas, everything's a little more strong, but it's also light. So it kind of moves fast, like invite vata in a little bit here, right? So our kaphas are moving a little more quickly. Good, and this time our vatas are going to join us and slowly bring that arm down, change sides and inhale. Good, and so again, pittas, we're going to keep going with this, flowing nice and soft. Can I soften the soles of my feet here? Can I soften the hand that's on the ground? Kapha is really energizing through that, finding a sense of brightness in the body. It's like turning the wattage up a little bit. Good, and this is our last one. So even vatas now as we exhale, slowly get to come down. And again, let's pause here. Whatever position feels good to you. If those shoulders feel stretched again, you can interlock. Yeah, this is just a little mini primer on this. More to come, but we're going to walk those hands forward and our feet in, coming to downward facing dog. So again, pittas here are going to soften the palms of the hands, soften the shoulder blades onto the back body, soften the soles of the feet, soften your effort. And pittas slowly come down to child's pose, lower the knees down. Good. Kaphas are going to stay in our downward facing dog for another moment. And vatas can slowly come down. Kaphas, another breath or two here. Downward facing dog, a great pose for all 3 doshas. And then everybody slowly coming down to child's pose. And we're going to pause in our child's pose for a few breaths. I'm going to adjust our camera so we can come down. So once you're done with child's pose, we're going to slowly roll up and we're going to change ourselves around. I'm going to turn sideways. We're going to do a little bit of gentle bridging up and down. So here we lie with our knees bent, our feet underneath our knees, so I'm just barely able to touch my heels. And then arms are alongside. Let me just slightly adjust this. There we go. You can see my feet, you can see my bridge. Good, and as we inhale, we'll slowly lift up. And as we exhale, slowly back down. We're going to move with this, and everybody's going to move with this. So as we inhale, lifting up. And as we exhale, lowering down. This is good for all 3 doshas.
With our vatas, if we want to press down into those arms a little bit and give a little bit of action, you can also do that for kapha. Kaphas might be moving up and down a little more quickly. Staying with our ujjayi breath, honoring who and what we are. And pittas, just relax the arms, even the palms up. Just kind of let them be really soft here. And after this one, we'll just hug those knees in. And we're going to slowly roll to our side and peel up to seated. And here, we're going to take a nice easy twist. So just letting both legs fold to your right. If you want to, you can bring that right leg across. This is a little bit more advanced version. This is the simpler version. So here, we'll inhale, and as we exhale, we'll turn toward the right. That right hand behind us. Good, and with our vatas, we'll inhale fully and hold for 2 counts. And exhale fully, embodying our centered, focused presence. For pitta, we're just going to soften everything, soften where we're sitting on the floor, soften that hand behind us. Soften the idea of what a twist is in the body or what it should be, what we think it should be. And with our kaphas, we're going to press a little bit more firmly into the backhand, sit up a little taller, and really find that core and let it turn us. And slowly unwind. And we're just going to shift around. I'm wearing black pants and they're just fading right into that black carpet, aren't they? Good, let's sit up nice and tall here. And as we exhale, turn towards those knees. So now the left hand is behind us, right hand is reaching around. Good, and here I'm going to go backwards and start with our kaphas. They're pressing a little bit more firmly, sitting up a little taller, finding this core center and letting it turn for us. Good, light, bright, and we're flowing with our breath. For our pittas, we're softening a little bit, relaxing that hand behind us. Not getting slouchy. I'm not like slouching in because I'm pitta and I can relax, but more like just relaxing that efforting. So easy, surrender, and receiving. How can you allow your body to relax so fully you can receive the pose? And with our with our vatas, we are staying centered, we're focused. Really putting a little bit more, just a slight more muscular effort here. Good, and then slowly unwind. So we're going to come to a brief shavasana. Now, our vata types tend to need support. So a vata type might want something in their shavasana like this, blanket underneath the neck. There's something supporting underneath here. And really, if they're cold at all, they're not going to be comfortable. So covering up with a blanket, maybe even sometimes they'll take the blanket and kind of curl it around the head like this, or put an eye pillow on, like anything we can do to create some sense of heaviness and safety for our vatas. Good. Our pittas tend to need just a little bit more support into the low back. So maybe move that bolster up to the thigh and let it release through the low back. You might need this or not. For me, it always feels a little good to have something soft under the head. And for kaphas, minimal support. Really, really just letting go of everything, lying flat on the back, maybe not even anything under the head, depending on what you're laying on. Just go for full out. Good. And you can pause this here and have as long a shavasana as you like. And again, my name is Robin Haston. I'm with Sweet Lotus Holistic Health, and I'm so glad that you joined me for this intro to elemental yoga, and I hope you enjoy and have a wonderful day. Thank you.